Hello there and welcome back again in another interesting video. So today we will be covering file handling in Python and some of its basic operation, how we can handle the file through a Python program. Okay, so let's start with that. So file handling in Python means using Python programs to read data from a file and write data into a file. Okay, so these two basic operations we are going to cover today. And to write or read a data from a file, you first need to open a file, and once you done with the operation, you need to close the file, whatever is the required mode as per your requirement. Okay, so first we will be covering this part. So I'm just going to open uh, my desktop, and I have created on my desktop file handling directory. Okay, so inside it I have created text1.txt, and I'm just going to show you like what is this. Okay, so I only have a two line in test1.txt. This is first line and this is the second line. Okay, so I'm just going to minimize this and going to copy this path. Okay, so I have copied this path where my file exists, and here what I can do is I can open that file. Okay, try to open this file. All right, so let's look into that first. So how can I open the file? First, what you need a file object. Okay, so I'm just going to define one variable file object equals to open. Okay, so open is a function to open any file in a Python. Okay, and I have to give a path which file I want to open. So let's say I have given this path and I want to open, let's say I have created test1, but here I'm going to give a file which is not exist in that path. Okay, so I'm giving it as a test.txt, and you see we need to open with a required mode. So I want to open this with a read mode. Okay, so R will be a read mode. Okay, but here you can see on users I get some error, right? Escape sequence characters. So we have already seen R string, right? So I'm just going to append R before the string, so my errors actually disappears, right? So this is we already covered in our earlier lecture when we use a R string. So this is a very useful example when you are working with a part of the file, you can use a R string to just ignore these escape characters. Okay, so this is how I can open a file in a read mode. And you see, if I try to print this file object here, okay, so I try to print this file object and run this program, I get the error, file not found error, right? And my program gets terminated. So why this happens? Because we'll get a file not found error if file does not exist. Otherwise, we'll get a file object. So if my file was exist, then only I can open it in read mode. So now my file is not exist, so my program gets terminated with file not found error. Okay. So just make sure when are you trying to open a read mode, you handle the exceptions correctly. Okay. So I'm going to close this object because I already got an error. Okay, and this is how you can close a file. Okay, close a file object that we have tried to open here. So this is very simple, right? Open, you just need to give a file path and the mode in which you want to open a file, and this is how you can close a file object. Okay, so let's see another mode, file open mode. Okay, which is the write mode. So I'm going to use again file object equals to open. Okay, I'm using the same path and same file name, but here instead read mode I'm going to use a write mode. Okay, so in the write mode what happens, if file not found, it will create a new file, otherwise it will truncate contents of a file. Okay, so let's see this example first. So I'm going to comment this out because we will get an error. Okay, and let's run the program. Okay, sorry, I need to comment this as well, file object dot close, and then I run program. Sorry, I can print this file object after opening it. Okay, just to see the results and run it again. No such file or directory. Okay, why I'm getting this error in the write mode? I'm not supposed to get it. Okay, all right. I have to comment this part as well and this part as well. Okay. So now let's run this program, and you can see here my file object has got the access of this file, and mode is the write mode, right? So I was getting earlier error because I was not able to open this file which is not exist, right? Now I in write mode it actually creates a new file. Let's see that. You see this test.txt created here with 0 KB, right? So currently there are no contents inside it. Okay. And okay, now there is a catch actually. So let's say if this file exists, right, and I have some contents inside that file, so those content will get truncated, right? I mean, it will delete the all the contents inside that file and it will open a empty file. Okay. So be careful when you are doing a using a write mode. Okay. So I'm going to close this file object again. Okay, close. And now let's move on to another mode, which is a append mode. Okay. So same thing I'm going to do here in append mode. Just going to copy paste same code, and here I'm going to open it as a append mode. Okay. So append mode, if file not found, it will create a new file. But now we already have this file, right? So it will open that file, and it will preserve the contents of a file for a append. Okay. So let's take that example. Okay. So I'm going to open this file first. Let's say open with Notepad. And I'm going to write, let's say, this is text file. Okay. And save it, close it. So now I have a contents inside it, right? So let's run this program, and I got this object with the A mode, right? And let's check the file. It will preserve that contents, right? It will not okay, it deleted that content because of our earlier code line, right? So I need to comment that as well here, because in a write mode this got empty. Okay. So here now I'm going to create again some contents inside it. This is test file. Okay. And let's run it again. So yeah, I got that text.txt, append mode, and I want to see if the content was preserved or not. So I can already see the size is 1 KB. So content has been preserved, right? So whichever I append, it will get append after this part only. Okay. So this is how you can use a different mode: read mode, write mode, and a append mode. Okay. So pretty simple how you open a file object and how you can close the file object. Okay. Now, what if I want to read the data, right, from a file? So I'm going to use this file, let's say test1.txt, and I have content here. This is first line, this is second line. Okay. So I'm going to use this path now for reading a data. So let's see the example how you can read the data from a file. So before that, I can actually give some print statement just to see a clear output. Okay. So let's say I'm just going to copy these functions read, size, and read. Okay. So that I get to know like which output I'm referring to. So again, I'm going to open a file in a read mode. Maybe I can copy this code here. Okay. So read mode, and I'll be using test1.txt. Okay. And basically we have a two function, read, and we have to give a size, number of characters you want to read from a file, and the plain read function which will read the entire file. Okay. So we are going to see both the functions. So let's say I create a one variable content equals to file object dot read, and let's say I want to read first 7 characters in it. Okay. And let's print it out just to see if we are able to read that data from this. Okay. So I'm just going to run this program. Yeah. Okay. So here, this we have 4 characters. Space will also consider 5, 6, and 7. So I was able to read a first 7 characters from file. Okay. Now let's check the read function, simple read function without any number of characters. Okay. So read, and I'm going to print the content again here and run it. So what happens actually, in my file, this was already read right here by 7 characters. So my cursor goes here after is, and there was one space between is and first line, right? So that space was considered here, and it read the entire file from the current cursor. Okay, current cursor where it belongs to. So if I haven't given, so let me just comment it out, these 2 lines. So let's say if I haven't given this cursor, right? So by default, it will start from the 0th position. Let's run this program, and you can see it started from 0, and I was able to read all the lines from the this file, test1.txt. Okay, so I'm still going to uncomment this. Okay, so this is pretty simple. Read will read entire data. If you give a size or number of characters you want to read, it will read that much data only. Okay. Next we have a readline function where it can read line by line as a string into a variable. Okay. So let's take that example as well. So again, I'm going to copy this. Maybe I'll copy this as well. And here I'm going to write down read line just to see a clear output of what we are referring here. Okay. So I have opened it on the file in a read mode, the same file. Okay. Sorry, before that I want to do one more thing. I'll just print a blank statement, blank print, and I want to close earlier opened file object. Okay. So that's all before moving on. So I open another, just to show you read line, I open another file object with test1.txt, and let's say I want to read first line, okay, of that file. So what I'm going to do is file object dot read line. Okay, read line, and let's print it out. First line here. So okay, this is the first line, but I got a this new line character. So just to avoid this, okay, what I can do, I can use end equals to no characters, right? This is we have already seen a first lecture. So then I can read a first line only, right? So because this print actually gives end at the end new line character, which is not from my file. Okay. So similarly, I can read a next line. Okay. So let's say instead of first line, I can do second line. Okay. And I'm going to print a second line here. Let's run it. And you can see this is second line, right? So I was able to read the contents line by line with the readline function. Okay. And what if I don't have any other line, right? I mean, I don't have any third line in my file. So let's see what happens if I try to read that line, which is not there. Okay. And let's print the third line as well and run it. Okay. I don't see any content. Okay. Here. So basically what happens here in a third line, it gives me empty string. Okay. If we reach to a end of the file, and here I don't get any output, right? So no output. All right. So that's all about a read line. Okay. So again, I'm going to use this empty print and I'm going to close this object. So now what if I want to read all the lines as a list, okay, from the file? So I can do that as well. I'll just copy this in here again. And here instead of read lines, read line, I'll give a read lines, okay? So I'm going to open same file again. And what I'll do is I'll create a one more variable. Let's say all lines equals to file object dot read lines. All right. And okay, now this is a list, right? Because I'm reading all the lines. So in order to print a list, what I can do is I can use for loop. So for line in all lines, okay, I'm going to open my for loop with colon and I'm going to print with indentation line and end character as nothing, because print will give me the new line character. So I'm just keeping that part here. Okay. So let's see the output. So read lines, as you can see, I was able to read the lines as a list. Okay, here, and I got all the contents. So that's all about a read lines. Let's print empty print statement and close that object. Okay. Now let's move on. Like if I want to read a line by line with a file object directly, okay. So this is also fast and efficient compared to the other methods, and let's see how we can do that. So I'm going to copy this thing again here, and here what I'm going to say is from file object, okay, how we can read a data from a file object directly. So I open the file in a read mode, okay, and again I can use a direct for loop. So line in the file object, okay, I open a for loop and I try to print line with end character empty. Okay, let's see what happens. See, I was able to read the entire line by line directly from the file object. Okay, so this is again a efficient method when you want to traverse line by line with the file object directly. Okay, so very fast and efficient compared to the other methods, right? All right. So I'm just going to copy paste this again. I'm going to close this thing. Okay. So we have seen open file, close file, and how to read a data. Now let's jump into the writing a data into a file, right? And how we can do that. So let's copy this thing again. And here I'm just going to change it like write data in W mode, okay? Because in read mode, we cannot write the data, right? So I'm going to use a write mode here. And here, instead of read, I'm going to change it as a write. Okay. So let's say create one more variable. Let's say character changed equals to file object dot write. Okay. When you want to write, you use the function write. Okay. And whichever content you want to write, you can put it in a string. So let's say I have already two line, right? So I'm going to write it as a, this is new first line, okay, and I'm going to insert a new character so that my next content, write content can get right on a next line, okay. So let's see, I want to print characters changed, okay, what I get here in the characters changed, okay. uh, so let's see what happens here first. So in a characters change, this has given me a number of characters that has been written. So 23 characters written in this file. But if you remember, we have open in a write mode, right? So my entire file actually, and the earlier content was not visible. So this is first line and second line will not be there when I'm going to read this file again, right? So that I will show you in a while. Before that, let's write one more file. This is new second line, okay, and I'm going to print that and going to close file object as well, okay. So let's say I have written a two lines in a write mode, okay, and now I want to see what is inside my that read file, okay. So I'm going to open that again in a read mode, okay, and I'm going to use a file object directly. So just to traverse for line in file object, print line, and end character would be nothing. All right, and let's see what happens. So as you can see here, the 23 characters were written. Here 24 characters were written, and now I can see only my new content. This is new first line and this is new second line. So earlier content was not preserved, right? So this is a disadvantage when you open a file into a write mode, okay. It will truncate earlier contents, okay. And let's do close this object as well, which will be open. Okay, so let's see append mode as well. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. What is the advantage when you have a append mode? So in append mode, the earlier contents getting preserved. So I can see this is new first line, this is a new second line, and I can additionally write a data into it, right? Okay, so what I can do here, I'm just going to copy paste these characters changed, and here I can say this is new third line and this is new fourth line, okay. And I can use the same thing here. I am going to close and open in a read mode just to check the contents, run the program. So now you can see my earlier two lines preserved, okay, and it appended a new line, right? This is new third line and a fourth line. So this is how you can use a append mode, okay. So yeah, so whenever you want to write, these are the most common node you can use, either write mode or a append mode, okay. So next we'll see how you can know your file, right? So knowing file, we have a tail function, so which tells the current cursor position, whichever file you are in, okay. So let's write something like this. Tail will like tail cursor position, okay, cursor. Oh yes, it's extracting. Sorry for the typo, okay. So now let's create a one more file object. Open the file in the read mode. So I'm just going to copy, okay. And what I can do is now I'll just see cursor position is equals to file object dot tail. Okay, so this will give me a current cursor position. I'm going to print that cursor position here. Okay, and this tells me my current cursor is at a 0th line. Okay, now what I'll do is, after this I'll just do file object dot read line. All right, okay, and after that let's see where is my cursor position goes. Okay, so earlier it was 0, it read my first line, and now my cursor position is a 24. Okay, so tail function will be used to know what is your current position. Okay, and let's close now file object. Okay, next we have a seek function. Okay, and let me just copy this here. Okay, so apart from this read, write, and the append mode, we also have a binary mode. So we can use it as a combined, like read with a binary mode, and plus will be used for a updation. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to use this mode just to show you that we also have a RB plus mode. Okay, in a file handling. And seek function, I'll just explain you first. So seek function will have a two parameters. So first is the from position, and second one is the direction. Okay, so this direction will have only three values: 0, 1, and 2. So if I didn't mention anything, so 0 will be a by default, right? And it will start reading a data from 0th position and from left to right. Okay, I mean to the right hand side of our file. If I give a direction as a 1, so it will try to seek a position from current position of a cursor to the right, and direction 2 will be like a from in the file to the left. Okay, so this will work in a reverse mode. So let's understand with the example. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this file object, we're going to copy paste here. Okay, so I open a file, but I want to open with the RB plus mode. Okay, and let's check first what is maybe I can print file object dot tail. Okay, so basically this will be a 0th position. Okay, as you have already guessed it. And now I want to seek, okay, to a 15th position, and let's print again a file object dot tail. Okay, so as you can see, it started with a 0th position, and I was able to forward my cursor to a 15th character, right? So I was able to seek it around the 15th characters. Okay, so here I have not given a direction, so it started from a 0th position and went till a 15th position. Okay, and from left to the right. Okay, so this is a by default behavior. Okay, so what I can do is now I'll just copy paste this thing again. Okay, and let's take one more example. I've given a 5 and 0. Here I have given a direction. Okay, so 0, it will start from the 0, which is by default, but I can use it like this as well. Okay, so don't get confused when you see a 0 here. So from 0, you can see my cursor now went to the 5th position. This is how you can seek your cursor. All right, now what will happen? Let's see. If I give 15th instead of 5, I've I just give a 50 on 5 and print it out. So as you can see, it will not hold that position. My cursor was already on 5th position, right? But here when I'm using it, by default starts from the 0 only. Okay, so this is you need to remember. Then let's check another directions of a seek. So let's say I want to start from third in a direction of 1. So 1 will be a from third position to the right hand side. Okay, so let's see. So current position was 15th, right? So from 15th it moved to the 3 characters. Okay, so this is how you can give how many characters you want to move from this direction. So 1 will be the current position, 0 will be the starting from the 0th position. Okay, and we have a reverse position as well. So from there, what I can do, I can give here as a -1. So from right to left, I want to move 1 character, and direction will be 2. 2 will be from the end of the file. Okay, and it gives me a 97, right? So from end of the file, I move to a 1 character back. So this is how you can use a direction to tell how you can move your cursor with the seek function. And we have only 3 more directions in a seek. So I'm going to close this file object. Okay, and last but not the least, knowing your file object. Okay, so we have some properties of a file object that we can see. So let's print it out something here as well, just to see a clearer output. File object properties. Okay, and what I can do here, so let's say file object, maybe I can just copy this thing again. Okay, I open a file in a RB plus mode. Okay, so let's say you got a file object written from someone, and you want to see what are the properties of this file object, right? So you can do that. So I'm just going to print. I'm going to use fsync here so that I can use a file name. Okay, so in a file name, I'm going to use a Python expression where I'm going to use file object dot name. Okay, and after this, I'm going to give a new character. Then I will be giving a file mode. I want to see a file mode in which the file has opened. Again, I'm going to use a Python expression just to print the object, sorry, parameter values. So file object dot mode. Again, after this, I'm going to use a new line character, and I want to see if file is closed or not, right? So I'm just going to write it down like file closed. And again, I'm going to use a Python expression, file object dot. So this time I have to use a closed. Okay, not closed. Okay, so this is to check whether the file has been closed or not. Okay, so that's all. Just print it out, and as you can see in the file name, I get this entire path right from here, file object dot name. Then in a file mode, I get the mode of the file in which it is opened, and if I want to change if whether file is closed, the file is not closed, so it will give me a false, right? So let's close the file object and see if we get a true value. So I close the file object, and now let's print file closed. Let's check file closed and give it as a file object dot closed. All right, so let's print it out, and it gave me a 2, right? Now my file object has been okay. So these are very handy when you want to see the properties of your file object whenever it is passed on to you. Okay. So that's all about file handling in Python. Very much simple. Okay, so we have covered most of the basic things again here. Okay, and I think now you can actually do it on your own. You can handle the files, you can read the data from the file and write the data into a file. Okay, so pretty much we have covered. Now we left with only one video, which is exception handling in this series. So stay tuned. We will cover that into our next video. Thank you and bye-bye.